Welcome to C-Suite at the Open. I'm Caroline Hunter, Head of Company Services based in Toronto. Joining us today is Scott Nirenberski, Chief Financial Officer of MCI Onehealth Technologies. MCI went public at the start of 2021 and trades on the TSX under the ticker DRDR. Scott, welcome.
Thank you, Caroline.
Why don't we start with you telling us about MCI Onehealth?
Sure. So MCI Onehealth is a clinician-led healthcare company. We have grown up as a primary healthcare company and now have 25 clinics, 20 in Ontario and 5 in Alberta. We're predominantly we're healthcare services in the past, and the company dates back over 30 years to the early 1980s. More recently, though, we've embarked on a transformational strategy to deploy technology to improve the healthcare experience for our patients and clinicians of all types, and to expand our services, because we really feel that the future of healthcare will very much depend on our ability to leverage the technology that is available today, as well as the technology that we are developing to improve the consistency and quality of healthcare tomorrow. So today we see a little over 800,000 patients a year across those clinics, and as well as virtually and by phone. And we are, growing steadily in that regard. We also have a burgeoning corporate health services practice where we're adding literally 30 to 40 corporate customers a quarter, and now have over 400 customers who depend on us for various services to help their employees be more productive and safer in the workplace.
You mentioned healthcare technology. I want to dig into that a little bit. So perhaps you can speak to the size and opportunity of the healthcare technology industry.
Sure. So, as we know it today, the healthcare industry, of course, is hundreds of billions of dollars that are spent on it. Technology is one facet of it, and that is a very, very rapidly growing facet. So depending on who you want to believe, it's definitely in the tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars in Canada, and of course, probably north of $1 trillion worldwide. What really is happening there is the system as we know it in most countries, regardless of whether they're government funded or privately funded, healthcare has tended to outstrip GDP growth by 2 to 3 times, which means very literally that if this continues, healthcare will be GDP, which is of course not possible. And so really the only way we're going to improve scale and essentially deliver healthcare more consistently to the populations, both Canada and frankly beyond, is through the use of technology. And that's what we're really trying to do is deploy technology where it makes sense and where we can benefit the patient experience right from the time that they engage with us for whatever their healthcare needs are, but all the way through to servicing them on whatever issues that they may have. And frankly, we want to be more preventative in the way we engage with our patients. So what we're trying to do is catch problems earlier on in the life cycle of a human being. And we know that today our system is, I call it built and funded around break fix. You get broken, you go get fixed. And that's a very expensive system to run. And if we could be more preventative in the way we do things and catch things earlier, we could really, really reduce the burden on the healthcare system, and we could also improve people's lives right at a much earlier stage before things get out of control. And that's really what we're trying to do. Because the doctors, as we know them today, the nurses, nurse practitioners, they are quite stretched in what they're trying to do. And again, that isn't so much even a Canadian problem in a predominantly government-funded system, but that's worldwide. That happens south of the border as well in a privately funded system. And there's only so many patients a clinician can provide healthcare services to in a given amount of time. So, it's not like you're going to make the provider turn the wheel that much faster. So we have to think differently, and we have to take what's now available to us at fairly cost-effective ways, and use it to improve that experience overall for people. And that's what we're trying to do essentially, which is we are trying to say, listen, we see all these people every year. We take in a tremendous amount of information. We try to the best of our ability to monitor their health, but it's very much a reactive system as opposed to being a proactive system where we can see things in advance. So why don't we develop the tools and the ability to leverage that information that we already have access to into a better experience by catching things earlier? When somebody sees us, they're usually seeing us for a specific reason, but we should be monitoring them for things that they're not necessarily there to see us for. And we should be catching that earlier. And if we could do that, we could catch things before they get out of whack. Today, if you go and you have a test in a clinic, right, you're always told that, yeah, this is out of whack with the norm, or this is normal, right? Well, normal as a human being may not be normal for you. Your vitals, your tests may reveal trends that are going in the wrong direction. Yes, they may still be normal today, but they're not normal for where you've been. So why not bring that to light earlier on before it becomes a problem? And that's what we want to do.
Scott, that's some important work that you're doing. And also you've outlined, a massive opportunity. And so how would you go about summarizing your value proposition for the investment community?
Yeah, so the value proposition for the investment community is, in a single sentence, we're trying to transform the healthcare experience to improve the quality and the consistency of healthcare, and in the process, transform ourselves. And what I mean by that is, if you look at us back in 2019, the vast majority of our revenue came from government-funded healthcare in Ontario and Alberta. If you roll forward the strategy of deploying more technology in healthcare to improve the experience and improve the quality and the consistency of it, and add additional non-government funded sources of enhanced healthcare services, we will not only transform the patient experience, but we will transform the company and the sources of revenue for the company, so that that vast majority of revenue that is coming from the government funded sources will shrink down and will generate a substantially more revenue over time from non-government funded sources. And the profile of those newer revenue streams is higher than where we currently sit today. And in the process, if you look at it, the company will grow faster and be more profitable than it is today.
Well, it's been about 6 months since you listed on the exchange. In fact, you were one of the first IPOs of 2021. So perhaps you can tell me what being listed on TSX means to both your company and your stakeholders.
Sure. So, from the company perspective, it's elevated the profile of the company beyond, what it was, which was a network of primary healthcare clinics in Ontario and in Alberta. So we're now on the radar of a lot more institutions than we were before, and we've been fielding a lot more incoming calls from both large and small companies. People are interested in partnering with us. People are interested in being bought by us. People are interested in buying us. It's actually been fascinating to watch. Not maybe altogether unexpected, but it's definitely elevated the profile of the company. I think insofar as the stakeholders are concerned, I think it's a fantastic time to be in this sector right now, because for the first time in probably the sector's history, both consumers and investing institutions have an opportunity to partake in the transformation of healthcare as we know it, and in particular primary healthcare, because for the longest time most of the investment focus has been around institutional healthcare, whether it's at the government level, the hospital level, pharmaceutical level, medical device level, right? Never really at the primary care level. And that goes also without saying to the investing public, the individual investors. And through MCI and others in our sector, they now have access to that, and can participate in the transformation of the healthcare industry.
Well, Scott, thank you for your time today, and we're looking forward to following the MCI story.
Thank you, Caroline. It's been great to be with you.